Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy Matt. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good, dude. I'm so glad you could just hop on such a short notice. And what we're going to talk about is obviously, kind of talk about the new Bon Jovi album coming. And I'm just so excited about it now that there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. I just wanted to kind of like just take a few minutes just to talk about all the things that are happening. And it's great to finally see some stuff happening in Jovi Land again. And
Mhm.
so anyway, thank you for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed the last time I was on. I think we talked about the debut album last time when you were
We,
going through all the records.
we
Um,
did.
yeah, and yeah, that was news to me about the new album coming out because I was under the impression they were doing like a box set. But if we got new music coming out, that should be interesting.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the box set too, and I still wonder if that is happening because that seemed to be such a big thing. Because I know David had mentioned it a few times on interviews, John had mentioned it, and even I think Tico said too that they were working through stuff for a box set. So
Right.
I'm hoping we get that too next year, in addition to this album that's coming and the tour. So
Yeah.
a lot of fun things coming. So, but go ahead, buddy.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say it would really kind of bring us back to like the old days in a way. And when I mean old days, at least for me, that was like the 2000s,
Yeah,
because I think like almost every year there was a new Bon Jovi release because you had Crush, then Bounce, One Wild Night, or One Wild Night was before Bounce, then This Left Feels Right, then 100 million Bon Jovi fans came back, then Have a Nice Day, then Lost Highway, then The Circle, then The Greatest Hits.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was just year after year there was something.
Those first 13, 2000 to 2013, there was always an album tour or something was going on,
Yeah,
and then, kind of 14 and just kind of started to, we'd get something, break, we'd
yeah.
get something, break, so I think I'm into that routine now where, the last year's kind of been nice because I've been able to see other artists because usually when Bon Jovi's on tour, I'm like, forget
Yeah,
everybody else.
nobody else matters. Yeah.
Bon Jovi, because I got to go to this show, I got to go to that show, this show, that show, and all my money's tied up with this band. And so the last year,
Yeah.
it's been kind of nice to be able to kind of adventure and see other people, and that didn't come out right, but you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, but let's get in right into this because I have so much I want to say.
Mhm.
So really, we started to learn about this new album, last November of 2022, when John on the fan club Q&A, he had said that he was writing new stuff, and he said he had about 6 songs written, and then he also said he had songs written with other artists, big name artists, but didn't really get into that.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
Oh man, if that happened, I would die. I would die.
We kind of have precedent for it because they sang together at the thing for Prince Harry 10 years ago.
Yeah, which I have, and funny enough, I have the picture here. I'm looking at it right now
Oh,
because
okay.
just weird thing of, I'm in my office, so I have that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you have my celebrity crush, Taylor Swift, I guess I have to emphasize,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but with my favorite musician of all time, John Bon Jovi, you have to have that in your office, I guess.
Well, we have that in common because Taylor Swift's in my top 10 as well.
What's that?
Taylor Swift is in like my top 10 like artists slash bands for myself as well. So,
Well, Taylor's my girl, so hands
yeah.
off.
Okay.
No, but yes, so I wonder if we could potentially. We all know throughout the years, when when the early stages of an album comes, is news, things change. So maybe we won't get these other artist songs. Maybe we will. I'd love another duet on this album. I've loved the Jennifer Nettles stuff, Leanne Rhymes, Big and Rich and stuff, but I'd like to see a new artist he hasn't worked with yet. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. With him being such a big Harry Styles fan, you wonder, could that potentially happen? You
Yeah,
know,
he was big on Watermelon Sugar. I remember watching his
yeah,
stream for Hampton Water. I think
yeah,
it was in 2021. Yeah, he did that song. And I was like, okay, I guess Harry Styles got the Bon Jovi stamp of approval. That's pretty big. So,
exactly. So I'm only going to bring up stuff that's been kind of talked about in the media and interviews in the last a couple weeks.
mhm.
So Tico said in an interview, because he was over at Dunhill Links last week with his golf thing he does almost every year. and he said that the band was getting together again, recording this week in Nashville. And then Phil just an interview was just posted, not the other guys or something like that. On I should really give them I don't want to use the word shout out because that's not what it is, but they deserve proper credit. So let me pull it up on my phone here. NTTFG podcast.
Okay,
Not
Phil.
these two bleeping guys. So Phil did an interview with them just the other day, and they posted it yesterday. And Phil kind of talked more about that the band is spending the next month in Nashville recording the new album. So they were just in New Jersey a couple weeks ago. And John had a lot of songs written, and they were just in the pre-production stages of the recording process. And now I think that this next month, I think they're just going to kind of hammer it out and get the album done, which is great, because I remember this house in 2020, it was kind of sporadic. They'd record for a little bit, take a break, record for a little bit, take a break. And so it'd be great if they really just get this album done in the next month. Then hopefully, maybe get a single by the end of the year.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Especially if I really did, and I don't want to get into too much detail about this, but really 23 should have been the 40th year anniversary of the band. That's when the band got signed, John and the band. And, and I just think things just got delayed. And so now they're waiting until next year to celebrate 4 years, which is fine, 4 years of the debut album. Right. But releasing a new single by the end of this year saying, hey, get ready for 2024, here we come. Would be, or even a January single would be great, because, with us only being mid-October, there's still plenty of time to do it, So we'll see. And I think the next big subject to talk about is Richie. So a lot of people, me posting on Twitter and stuff, a lot of people have been asking, Richie. I can say this, the good sources that I have, I can say Richie is not on the new album. It's not happening.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion, like, unless I hear it from John, it's like then it isn't official for me. But because because there was like the rumors, because they were like, oh yeah, he's coming back, and then there was like a news thing where he says, oh no, we haven't even started talking yet, and then there was another news thing saying, oh yeah, we are, and I'm like,
it's hard to tell, and I hope that we do get surprised and Richie is on the next album, but me just taking a guess and stuff that I've heard, I don't think it's happening. I just don't. Now that and a tour could be two different things. Who knows? I guess time will tell. It'd be great to have Richie and Phil on an album together. I couldn't even imagine how incredible that would be. But you just based on the Richie interview that he did a few weeks ago, where he said, cut out the other guys, which meant Phil and Shanks and Everett, and make it the 5-piece band. I don't see Richie being open arms with working with Phil on an album, or even who knows? I'm sure there's so much more at play than you and I both know that's happening. But like I said, I don't see the whole Richie thing happening. I just don't.
I honestly don't see it either. But now just come to think about that, it's been 10 years without him.
10 and a half. Yeah.
I remember the day. I just remember because I was tracking their tour 10 years ago when they were touring What About Now, because I had already seen them in Toronto on the 17th. That was the last time I ever saw Richie live. It was a great show. They did. I really, really enjoyed it. I posted videos from it from 10 years ago, on the 10th anniversary earlier this year. And I remember they played a lot of they played some rarities. They played Wild as the Wind. Yeah. I went nuts when that came on.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, just 10 years later, because I also saw them in November of 2013. That was the first time I saw Phil. And Phil's cool. I like him. He's a good personality.
And truly, I was working out the other day and I was listening to Beautiful Drug and Brothers in Arms and Born Again Tomorrow. And all three of those songs have great Phil X solos. I'm like, you know what? I'd love for them. As much as I'm disappointed that Richie isn't on the new album, I
Mhm.
still love that Phil's on it and just is gonna rock it. You know, I'd love for every single song to have a Phil X solo because he just has a
Mhm.
style and it adds a lot of chemistry to the band now. And
Mhm.
so whether Richie's in it or not is what I'm trying to get at. It's still gonna be an incredible album because Phil's on it, and Phil's just
Yeah,
phenomenal. Um, and then the
and he's
next,
Canadian.
say that again, buddy.
And he's Canadian. One of our guys.
um,
I remember when he was in Toronto for 2017, Bon Jovi was just like, "Oh yeah, we're Phil X and the Jersey Boys band."
yeah, yeah. And so the next big thing to talk about too is it's been confirmed now because Phil said it in the interview. Shanks is producing the new album again. Not the new album again. I should say the new album.
Yeah.
Um, which, to be honest with you, before I get into this, I love Shanks. I love his work. I love what he's done for the band, especially for Have a Nice Day, Lost Highway, The Circle, even some of the greatest hit stuff he worked on a little bit. But what about Now and Dawn? I think that's where, and we won't get too much into this, I guess, but that was when I think the band really needed a new producer, someone to kind of give them a new sound, a new vision and stuff. There's only so much a producer can do with a band, and I think it's great for bands to have a different producer
Mhm.
each new album. And I really don't know what direction this new album is going to be because what's new that Shanks can give the band? I just think I was really hoping that we'd get a new producer. And no disrespect to Shanks, he's great, he's phenomenal.
Mhm.
Just me as a die-hard fan, I just think the band needs someone new to produce someone to give them a new
But
direction, a new sound, a new vision.
I agree. Um, I remember, like, just as a side comment before I get into what I was mainly going to say, but like, I remember on Lost Highway there were two producers. There was Shanks, and then there was a guy that I remember I was watching an interview, and the guy like produced with like other country artists, and he also produced with Megadeth. So
Yeah,
like it was like you had different. I didn't hear like much of a big difference because I thought Shanks did good on Have a Nice Day, Lost Highway in the Circle, but like there's a few songs on What About Now where I'm hearing like this background fuzz.
yeah,
All the instruments are trying to like get and one of them is like if you listen to What's Left of Me and you put on like the big headphones, and that's one of my favorite songs on that record. I'm
right.
hearing it, I'm just hearing like a kind of like in the background. Because I felt like I think you mentioned that record was kind of rushed. I
Yeah,
think you mentioned,
yeah.
yeah. But like the Circle, I thought was pretty well produced. Have a Nice Day is great. It's one like I think Have a Nice Day, Lost Highway, the Circle, actually my favorite Bon Jovi albums.
Yeah.
Like in a
And,
um,
and Shanks has done great, especially on those albums. But even What About Now, This House in 2020, I'll give him credit that he's done some good stuff on those albums too.
mhm.
I just think that there's nothing, they're great albums, just
Yeah,
nothing fresh there. It just seems the same, you know?
yeah. I mean, I liked Crush. I don't know all the producers' names, but the guy who produced Crush, it was a different guy who did Bounce. It
Yeah,
was
Luke
who?
Evans. Luke
Luke
Evans.
Evans. He do both?
Yeah, Crush and Bounce he did.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like producers kind of like if they're a good producer, they really help the band kind of discover something about themselves that they didn't already realize before.
Mhm.
Um, like Bob Rock was good at doing this with certain bands too. Some people
Yeah.
hated it, people loved it. But like I know when Bob Rock started producing with Metallica, it was a different sound, but it was like good because it brought Metallica in a new light. And then
Right.
even with one of my favorite bands, the Tragically Hip, they did two records with Bob Rock after doing with different producers, and I was like, okay, there's like a different vibe here
Yeah.
because like the sounds were different, right? But yeah, I would like to see Bon Jovi experiment with maybe like a different sound, a
Yeah.
different
E-
producer.
even
Still going to be true to him. Like I know he's very like, I've heard him in interviews say, "Oh, we're not going to like chase a fad. We're going to be true to ourselves." Well, like yeah, you can do that and still,
yeah.
expand it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, you mentioned Bob Rock, and I think that'd be a great producer to work with again, especially if you want to kind of get. I'm not saying you go to the bad end. I'm not saying that, but like kind of back to your roots where you're a rock band,
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Shanks is going to be in the next album, and I just really hope we get something fresh and new from
Mhm.
him. You know, who knows? And that that brings me to my next subject, pun intended, the subject matter of the album. Um,
Mhm.
I loved 2020, I really did, but I don't want another album as heavy as that. And whatever you want to call it, political, socially conscious, whatever it is,
Mhm.
it it was just really heavy. And I kind of want this album to be more like a Crush meets Have a Nice Day, or a Crush meets Have a Nice Day and meets The Circle, something like that. You know, in the realm of that, where it's still a fun rock album. You know, you have your anthemic songs, you have your ballads. You know, like the last album, like Shine and Love Can were just beautiful songs, and they ended up being bonus songs. Um, especially like the tour last year was a great tour, but like you're having fun, you're having such a good time, and then they're playing songs like American Reckoning
Pretty
and
sad.
and Lower the Flag, and it just ruins your mood. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm here having a good time, and now I'm reminded about all these horrors in the world, and all this tragic stuff, and you're like, and I do like those songs, I do. It's just I think with the new album, I think I'd love to kind of see a steer away from
Mhm.
the political stuff and the stuff that's happened in the world. Just give us, a fun anthemic album. You can make it a little socially conscious if you want,
Mhm.
but just not make it heavy. What are your thoughts?
I sort of agree. I liked Lord. Actually, my favorite song on that record was Blood in the Water.
Yeah,
I liked it for its its rhythm. I liked it for the point of view that
yeah,
it was trying to get across. But yeah, it is one of those records that you like. The only real songs I could really see being played live, like in like a good vibe kind of way, would probably be Limitless, Beautiful
yeah,
Drug, and like maybe Story of Love is kind of nice.
yeah. See,
Brothers in
and,
Arms is pretty cool.
yeah, and maybe I should take back my comment a little bit, because like those songs right there weren't as heavy. Those were fun. Those are songs that I would probably like to see on another album. Stuff like
It
that.
really,
Where it's kind of more upbeat, and stuff
yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
I was gonna say something else to that too, and I slipped my mind, but must not have been that important. Um, yeah, I just want to see some good, fun rock songs, some love songs, stuff like that. And plus too, you look at 2020, where we were in the world, and it was very a dark time. So
Yeah,
I get
totally.
why John was writing that stuff and so forth. But now, there's still some bad stuff going on in the world, but there's also good stuff going on too. And who knows? I really hope, John will start doing interviews soon and kind of start talking about what we can expect, you
Yeah.
know.
To get an
So
insight into his mind.
exactly. But the first thing interviewers are going to ask is Richie, Richie, Richie. And it's just like,
Mhm. They still bother him about that, don't they?
what's that?
They still bother him about that, don't they? Like they're
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's to hear more
Yeah.
stuff about the album, and,
Mhm.
but hopefully, like I said, hopefully we get a single by the end of the year and kind of get an idea of what that album is going to be like, and then that'll introduce the tour, introduce the new album. Essentially, if they really do hammer this album out in the next month, that takes us to mid-November.
Mhm.
You could probably have the album out early or late winter, early spring.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Do
That's
do
like what I was waiting for. What about now? I remember that was the first record I had to wait for because I became a fan in like 2009, like just after the
Yeah,
Circle came. I
but
remember just looking forward to Because We Can. Yeah.
that was that was like different than that was a different release than what they've done in the past, because I remember the single for Big Cause We Can came out in January, the tour started in March or February,
February.
and then the album came out in mid-March. And I remember they did a BBC show, and
Hmm.
that was the only way that you knew the songs before the tour started.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so, but for a lot of fans didn't know the songs because the album wasn't out yet. And I remember I got home from Cleveland, the Cleveland show.
Oh, you were there. Okay.
Yeah, I went
I
to
watched it on the live stream.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but I came home after that, and I went straight to Walmart at like midnight and bugging one of the Walmart employees to go dig out the album. and but that was a different time. But essentially, what could potentially happen? Single end of the year, early next year, announce the tour, announce what their 40th anniversary plans are, have the album out, mid winter, late winter, early spring, start the tour in the US, go overseas in the summer, and then, Australia at the end of the year like they usually do. And, yeah. So, they're promoting the 40th year anniversary and they're promoting the tour.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Getting back to the subject matter and then also the production thing. There was a song that was floating around on the YouTube about a year ago, which I think was said to be on 2020. It was Ain't Done Yet.
Oh, that was from This House.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Because his voice sounds very 2020 in that song.
No, I think that was from This House
Yeah.
because I have a USB somewhere from like each album outtakes that aren't even on YouTube, and I think I have that on my This House USB.
Oh, okay. All right,
That's
fair enough. Well, whoever produced that, I thought the production on that song was, say, better than like Limitless or What's Left of Me. And I thought the subject matter was pretty, it was a pretty like, I don't want to say it sounded like Lost Highway, but I like the song so much I learned it on guitar and I like know how to play it now because it's one of those ones I just kind of listen to a lot. And I'm thinking like if that I was hoping that maybe the next album sounds more like that because it was pretty, I don't know, it was upbeat, it was optimistic. I like the Bon Jovi optimism. I think we'll get more of that. I mean, he wrote most of that record, I guess. Well, not in, I'm talking about 2020, but like, yeah, he wrote that a lot in like 2019, and then a lot of the more heavier songs were written like during the pandemic. I think things are, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he feels a little. I don't know how he feels. Hopefully, we get him, more of the subject matter by Ain't Done Yet because I like that song.
yeah. And you know what? I'll say this too. At the end of the day, I'm just happy that our favorite band is making new music. They're going out to tour. So even if it's something different than what I want, I'm still gonna love it,
Oh, yeah, me too.
because I love 2020. I really did. I thought, songs even like American Record and Lower the Flag were great songs. I just don't want to see more of those songs.
Yeah, they're kind of sad. They're like those are the kind of songs like you want to listen to like just kind of like by yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that was, okay. Oh, yeah, we got it going on. Okay, next song, Lower the Flag. It's like,
Yeah. Like I said, you're having a good time at the show, and then you're reminded of all the horrific stuff that's happening in the world, and you're like, I kind of
But
feel
I
bad.
did think the acoustic "We Don't Run" was actually really beautiful. The
Yeah,
one he did.
I thought that was, and we're kind of steering away from what we're talking, but
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of overdone. Like
Oh, really?
it was fun to see the first couple shows, but like I've said this plenty of times, the acoustic set was such a wasted opportunity on that
They could
tour.
have done more.
They could have done so many songs, and just all about loving you, misunderstood. They could have done
Something for the Pain.
what's that?
Something for the Pain. The way they did it in the Circle tour,
Yep.
I love that version of that.
Joey, Love for Sale, Diamond Ring,
Mm-hmm.
I Want You acoustic, which we'll probably never see that again.
Right.
Just there's just so many. It's hard letting you go. All the songs that would have worked for him, and they played, We Don't Run, and they play. It was nice to see Saturday Night during that acoustic set, but like to see We Don't Run, American Reckoning, and Lower the Flag every single night, and the general fans are like, "What's this?"
Yeah.
But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm glad we're able to see them.
Me too.
We're able, that they're making new music, and I'm excited. I really am. We haven't had a new album in 3 years, so we haven't had a tour in a year and a half. So it's fun to see new stuff coming in Jovi land, which actually brings me to one other thing I want to talk about that's happening in the Bon Jovi world is the new bar that's coming in Nashville.
A bar.
You haven't heard about that? Well, get
It's a
ready.
Bon Jovi bar.
Well, I think it's more so the details haven't really been released yet. So it's all been rumors. But so these rumors started circulating probably early of last year that John was going to open up a bar in Nashville. And there's so many other, you have like I'm not a big country guy. Luke Bryan, Toby Keith, Luke Atkins or something. The Blake guy. What's his
The
name?
who?
Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton. I'm sorry, Blake Shelton. Anyway, all those guys, they have, bars and stuff. And so it was rumors all last year that John was going to put a bar or restaurant or something of that sort in Nashville. And then
Mhm.
those rumors started to die. Even John posted something last year about it, or
Oh,
said it in an interview, because we know that he did confirm it. I think it was in an interview last year. He did confirm it. And then ever since, it's been kind of, for the last year, we've heard nothing about it. So we thought maybe it just kind of,
mhm.
that it just fell off. But now, there were some people that had posted that, and there's a picture of it too. The other day, John and David were checking out, buildings,
Okay.
and it makes me wonder if David was also looking at this building. Was he just riding along with John and just looking at it, or is it going to be a band involvement, bar restaurant? You know,
Maybe.
you know, and so, but I learned today that they finalized what building they want, and that the building is kind of bare bones right now. That there's a lot of work that needs to be done to it. Which the other day somebody had posted that the building was selected and that the grand opening was going to be at the end of November, which is almost a month from now,
Mhm.
November 24th. I'm like, that's kind of pretty quick to
Yeah.
get it together and make the announcement, make promo for it. That's too short of a window. And then today, um, it was kind of learned that it's going to open up next year, which makes more sense. Um,
Yeah.
so I wonder, could it be a band involved, bar, restaurant, whatever it is, where they have memorabilia all around, you know? Yeah, because that's another idea that John was saying for the last couple of years too, was they were going to have like a museum, a pop-up museum.
Mhm.
And remember how it was going to be in New Jersey. And so I wonder if maybe they're going to do it in Nashville with this bar and restaurant. You know,
Mhm.
who knows? It's still the early stages. There's not much to know about it yet. Hopefully, here in the coming months, I think we're going to find all this information out very soon. I think once we get a single and John has to promote the single, I think he's going to start talking about the new album. He's going to start talking about the tour. He's going to start talking about this bar. And I think we're going to get a lot of information all at once.
Yeah. That could
Yeah.
be cool. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like a bar, Bon Jovi bar. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm just
I mean,
he likes Nashville, so I wonder if it's gonna look anything like that bar that they did the Lost Highway video and
oh, yeah. That'd be interesting.
he really likes Nashville. Like, I sometimes will go back on YouTube and watch a bunch of like old interviews with him from like different eras of the band, and he seemed really like happy and just so like giddy during like the Lost Highway era. He was like, "Oh wait, I went to Nashville and we like recorded
Yeah.
this like album, and then we like hung out here and we hung out there." And I'm like, "Yeah, he likes Nashville."
Yeah. And the thing is too, is they recorded the new album there, you
Hmm.
know,
Okay, maybe
so
more influence because
yeah.
I love Lost Highway. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite records of all time. So
And with them spending the next month in Nashville recording this new album, I wonder, maybe part of that reason is because he has to do a lot of, dealings with this new building and getting stuff going and stuff. So he's kind of had to be involved. And so maybe that's why they're spending the next month in Nashville. He's just kind of doing two things at once, recording and taking care of this bar restaurant idea.
mhm.
All hypothetics, I'm
Oh,
just
hypothetically, yeah.
spitballing here. But we'll see. Hopefully we find out things very soon.
Wasn't there a documentary in the works? I heard rumors about that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's been kind of confirmed, because I think Richie said something like a year ago that he was interviewed for it. Doc McGee said he was interviewed for it,
mhm.
and I'm trying. I think David Ortica said something in an interview a while ago about for what I heard was going to be like a four-part documentary, and
Oh,
and then, but I mean, this was like a year and a half ago. This is before, the 2022 tour started. So who
Oh,
knows?
really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I remember when Living on a Prayer reached 1 billion views on YouTube, or was it
it's
or was
my
it
life.
last? Oh
Living
no,
on
no. No, it was Living on a Prayer. It was this year because John was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we got the 1 billion views. We like the song too." He's like, "We have a lot of things coming in for 40th anniversary."
yeah, yeah. I really I think we're gonna get a lot next year. You know, new album, new tour. Hopefully the box set. Hopefully the
Documentary.
documentary, and then this bar restaurant. You know, so a
That's
lot
pretty
of
cool.
things. Yeah,
That's a lot
so
of
they're making up for the lack of this year. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Because yeah, I was like waiting, like because I have some other friends who are like Bon Jovi fans too, and they're like, "Oh, it's their 40th anniversary. Are they doing anything?" I'm like, "Oh, no way, it's coming. It's coming anytime now."
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
finally.
And it's so weird that they really didn't celebrate 40 years this year. You know.
Yeah, because like their first that's when they got signed. That's when Runaway was put out. That's when they did their first gig at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
I think they're opening for ZZ Top.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I get
Big
it.
year.
You can go both ways. 40 years of the band getting together, 40 years of the debut. I get it. You know, but like it's like their social media accounts. Like they won't acknowledge any anniversaries for any albums, any singles, anything, but they'll post like the most nonsense of stuff.
Mhm.
You know, like it's so like I cringe every time I see them post on social media. And
Right,
it's
right, right.
also not, it's clearly not the band posting. You know, it's a
Yeah,
social media group that posts, and it's just like, what?
I
You
don't
know,
even follow the band on Instagram. I just follow John on Instagram. But
yeah,
yeah, I kind of wonder like, yeah, it would be nice. I sometimes kind of like sit there whenever I watch, at least, when I'm at the concert or if I'm ever watching like any live, concerts and stuff. I'm kind of thinking like, hey, John, remember Bounce?
yeah,
Because they don't play anything from Bounce anymore. I'm just thinking like, you do remember that record, right? It was a
yeah.
really good album, Every Day, The Distance,
And,
Bounce.
and I'm glad you brought that up too, because last thing I wanted to say real quick is if we're really celebrating 40 years next year, I think you've got to celebrate each era of the band. You know, do stuff from the debut album, 7800, stuff from these days, stuff from Bounce, you know, stuff that you don't always play, even if it's a song or two. I
Right.
think to really celebrate 40 years as a band and everything that you've done within those 40 years, you've got to celebrate each album. You know, even if like I said, even if it's just one song,
Mhm.
you know, I'd be happy about that, you know.
He
It,
hates the first two records.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he's
but
like, oh yeah, I'll never other than Runaway, he's like, I'm never playing any of these songs again. Which kind of sucks because I loved seeing the videos of him doing like Roulette, Shot Through the Heart, Tokyo
let it
Road,
rock.
Let It Rock. Let It Rock's a killer.
Yeah, exactly.
Um
Tokyo
the
Road.
Circle and then the 2011 tour, which I guess is part of the Circle tour, I guess it's part of that era.
Yeah,
They like the set list was different every night. There was like a different
yeah,
opener. There was they do stuff on the box set from 20-year anniversary. They would do um bounce songs, rare songs off Have a Nice Day, early stuff. Yeah. And that kind of sort of carried into What About Now tour, but like not really. And then after
yeah,
Richie left, it's like not really at all.
yeah.
But
Those are the kind of set lists that I want to see next year from 2000, like stuff from 2011 that they did, you know, where it was so different, you know, because we spent every single tour, never know what they were going to open up with, never know what the next song could potentially be, the
absolutely.
encore songs. But, you know, this house in 2020, or I'm sorry, 22 tour was just the same every night, and still both great tours. I love those tours. I did many shows on each,
Mhm.
but there's nothing different between those
Yeah.
shows, you know. Now, of course, you know, like I get to brag here a little bit because I got to see Story of Love and Rally the only time they did it on the tour last year, and it was phenomenal. And that's where I'll give Shanks a lot of credit.
Mhm.
He did a badass solo at the end of
Yeah, no,
that,
it's good.
and then seeing him do it live, man, he rocked that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a beautiful song. The video was really, really nice. Yeah. But yeah, like it's like those songs they don't get a lot of play because they're
Yeah,
not the big anthemic ones, right?
yeah. And one more thing, you mentioned the Story of Love video and how that was, and that's kind of reminded me about how that was a lot of just John in the video.
Hmm.
That's another thing I want to see on this next album is more band, because it, 2020 was almost like a solo album. John
I
did
was just gonna say.
all the interviews. He was the only one on the front cover, and you had really two cool, that's a tongue twister there.
Yeah.
Photos of the band that could have been, like for example, this one right here.
Mhm.
Look, I mean, I
That's pretty
love,
badass photo.
yeah, I love that band photo. How could that not have been the album cover? Or even just the back,
The background, oh, yeah, the background of the album, yeah, or the reverse side.
So I really, really want the next album to be, what's the word? Because obviously the band was on 2020, but like more band focused and the band.
No, I agree. And I remember there was like signs of that even on like This House, because I remember whenever John was introducing a lot of the new This House songs, at least during the 2017 wing of the This House tour, because they did like they do God Bless This Mess, Scars on This Guitar, and then they would do either Devils in the Temple or swap it with New Year's Day. And he was talking like, oh yeah, so like on New Year's Day, especially, yeah, I felt like this was like when we were like a true band again, when we were recording this, when we put this to, when they put this song together. So I was thinking, oh, okay, it was like more of like a togetherness band vibe. But with 2020, I just remember looking at the writing credits, and I think they had like, so John, Billy Falcon, and Shanks co-wrote, I think, Limitless and Beautiful Drug, and then everything else was just John Bon Jovi, which
Yeah,
kind of reminisces a little back to Keep the Faith, because half of Keep the Faith, half of those songs are just John.
yeah.
Uh, but
And that's okay. But like, for like 2020, like I always love hearing the different band members doing interviews because you kind of get a different sense of what their experience was like recording the album and their stories. But 2020 was just all John doing interviews, and like you really didn't get to learn more about the album from David or Tico or, Phil did a few interviews, but he was kind of held back on things, and I don't know, you know.
yeah,
So,
it
hey,
is what it is.
but hey, at the end of the day, I am pumped. I'm excited.
Oh,
I cannot wait for new Bon Jovi music. I cannot wait for the new tour. I can't wait to see all my Bon Jovi friends.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
2024, it's just going to be awesome. No matter
Me
what
too.
we get, I'm excited. I'm happy. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, me too. Um,
Anything
hopefully,
else?
hopefully it comes to Canada.
What's that?
Hopefully it comes to Canada this time, because I ain't seen him live since 2018, and that's
I, I I told my wife I have to go to Montreal because I was gonna go to Montreal on this house tour for the first time because Montreal always rocks. Okay,
Mhm.
and so I said, you know what, I'm doing Montreal on this tour, which is this house tour.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I can't remember what happened, but the show got rescheduled to another date, and I was like,
Mhm.
I can't go because
Mhm.
I had something important going on, and I couldn't um, skip it. And so I wasn't able to go to the show, and it ended up being the last night of the This House tour.
Mhm.
And as we know, almost every tour, the last show is always phenomenal because it's different.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Montreal, they open up with "Sleep When I'm Dead." John's in the back of the audience
Yeah, yeah,
walking,
yeah.
coming up, and I'm like, and I always do updates on Twitter,
Mhm.
show to show. And I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" I was
Right.
gonna be there. I had really good seats, and oh, my heart was broken.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do my. I usually do Toronto every tour. You know,
Oh, okay. Yeah, Toronto's pretty cool. The first time I saw them was on February 15th, 2011, and they opened with Last Man Standing. I remember when the lights went on, the song starts, the band's playing on the stage. I'm looking like, where's John? I hear his voice. And then no, he's on the other end of the arena, standing on top of like
yeah,
the like setup with the things that control the lights and everything. And he does Last Man Standing, comes down, runs across the side of the stage, jumps up on stage. You Give Love a Bad Name. Crazy. I'm like, this is cool. Like, did not expect that. Yeah, he's a good showman. He's a really, really good showman. And I like it when he kind of does pull like these little tricks out of his hat. I remember looking at the set list that day when they opened with "I'll Sleep When I'm Dead," and I was like, okay,
yeah.
okay, all right.
Best band you'll ever see. I,
Absolutely.
I stand
People are
by
like,
that.
why you love this band so much? I'm like, I just get like all my video footage from all years. I'm like, here's why. Here's why. Here's why.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about the new stuff that's coming? Anything? Any?
Well,
Maybe-
I mean,
Oh,
it might be the last record. It
yeah,
is possible. I mean, I don't know, right? Like, because I don't know, like, 'cause, Tico's getting like
yeah,
they're all getting up there in the years. Tico's like what, like 8 years older than John?
yeah. And that's another theory that I have
Hmm.
is, and who knows? I'm sure there's so much more going on behind the scenes that we don't know.
Hmm.
Me, what I'm guessing next year would be really, as much as we hate it, next year could potentially be the final tour. Because you got to think another world tour. You're celebrating 40 years. You have a new album. Tico's all the band members are up there in age. Okay. A lot of
You
other,
probably don't want to go all around the world, right? Like
yeah,
it gets to be exhausting, I bet.
yeah. And I truly don't think the next tour is gonna be um I don't think it's gonna be rigorous. I think we're gonna see something like last year's tour where they did, 10, 15 shows, and I think that's what they're gonna do. I bet you we'll probably get 10, 15 dates in the States in the winter or spring, and then
Mhm.
they'll go to UK, they'll go to Europe, and they'll probably do 10 shows, here and there, different parts of the world, take
Mhm.
another break, go here for and do 10 shows, take a break. Kind of like what they did for this house. They played
Mhm.
different parts of the world, took a break, played different part.
Yeah, yeah,
And that may not necessarily be the end of the band. I can see residencies happening. I could just see small little tours happening here and there. What they could do too is residencies next year.
yeah.
You do a residency in Madison Square Garden for a few nights. You do a residency in Las Vegas for a few nights.
Yeah.
Do Florida for a few nights, and then go over to the O2 in London for a little bit. Go somewhere in
Yeah.
Australia. So they're in one look, that could potentially happen, who knows? It's just, I do not see the end of the band for at least for another 5 years. I could
Yeah.
potentially see the end of world tours next year,
Yeah.
but I think, yeah, I that's my bet. Maybe this could be the second to last album that we'll get. Who knows? You know, I'm just right for me. I'm just kind of on the ride. Enjoy it while we have it, and
Absolutely.
because one day we're not gonna be able to talk about this anymore, and
Yeah, it's true.
so yeah. Anyway, but I'm gonna end the recording here. Thank you so much for
Hey, thank you for having me on.
again, for people that are listening, a lot of this is just hypothetics. The only thing that's really happening right now is that the band are in the studio recording the new album, and that's pretty much all that we know right now. Everything
Mhm.
else that we talked about is just hypothetics, what could happen. So anyway, we're excited. I'm gonna end this recording. Don't hang up. Thank you again, buddy, for coming on.
All right, very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Oh, and podcast news. I am officially everywhere on streaming platforms. I'm on platforms I don't even know about, but I do know that
Well,
I'm on YouTube. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Spotify, and it's like some other streaming platforms that I don't really even know about, but I'm on there. So anyway, so just want to put that out there. Thank you so much again, buddy, for coming on, and I'm gonna end this right now.